Hey, good morning, good afternoon, family. This is Law Abiding Citizen. Just want to read USA Today that I found, and basically, hold on. Yeah, okay, family, I'm back. And just want to kind of, again, this is Law Abiding Citizen, and just want to kind of talk about the article that I saw today on USA Today. I also saw another one on Time, but I'm reading the one from USA Today. Gonna make a few comments on it. But anyway, so the title of the article is "More than half of police killings in the U.S. are unreported in government data study finds." Now, I'm going to go ahead and start reading now. More than half of police killings in the U.S. are not reported in official government data, and black Americans are most likely to experience fatal police violence, according to a new study released Thursday. An estimated 55% of deaths from police violence from 1980 to 2018 were misclassified or unreported in official vital statistic reports, according to the peer-reviewed study by a group of more than 90 collaborators in the Lancet, one of the world's oldest, most renowned medical journals. Previous studies have found similar rates of underreporting, but the new paper is one of the longest study periods to date. Researchers compared data from the U.S. National Vital Statistics System, an intergovernmental system that collates all death certificates, to three open source databases on fatal police violence, fatal encounters, mapping police violence, and the counted. The databases collect information from news reports and public records requests. Government data did not report 17,100 deaths from police violence. Researchers estimated official government data did not report 17,100 deaths from police violence out of 30,800 total deaths during the nearly 40-year period, speculating the gap is a result of a mixture of clerical errors and more insidious motivations. During that period, non Hispanic black Americans were estimated to be 3.5 times more likely to die from police violence than non Hispanic white Americans, with nearly 60% of these deaths misclassified, meaning that they are not attributed to police violence in official government data, researchers found. Nearly 60%, so 6 out of 10 deaths were misclassified. I'm not buying that. I'm leaning more towards the insidious rather than clerical errors. Vital statistics reports are often used to inform health policy, and inaccurate data minimize. Let me read that again. Vital statistics reports are often used to inform health policy, and inaccurate data minimizes the problem of police violence and limits the reach of justice and accountability. Fablina Sarara, I'm probably butchering that name, so forgive me, fam. One of the lead authors and researchers at the Institute of Health, Metrics, and Evaluation at the University of Washington School of Medicine told USA Today, quote, recent high-profile police killings of black people have drawn worldwide attention to this urgent public health crisis, but the magnitude of this problem can't be fully understood without reliable data, end quote. Sharara, that's what I'm going to go with. I apologize if this ever gets back to Sharara and I'm butchering his or her name. So Sharara said in a press release, quote, inaccurately reporting or misclassifying these deaths further obscures the larger issue of systemic racism that is embedded in many U.S. institutions, including law enforcement, end quote. Government data also misclassifies 50% of deaths of Hispanic people, 56% of deaths of non Hispanic white people, and 33% of deaths of non Hispanic people of other races, researchers found. Similar to previous studies, the researchers found that behind the non Hispanic black people, non Hispanic, that behind non Hispanic black people, non Hispanic indigenous people were killed by police at a higher rate than other groups. Non Hispanic indigenous people were estimated to be 1.8 times more likely to die from police violence than non Hispanic white people, the researchers found. From 1980s to 2010, Rates of police violence increased by 38% for all races, researchers found. Eve Wool, a lead author and researcher at the Institute of Health Metrics and Evaluation, said the rise is evidence that efforts to prevent police violence and address systemic racism, such as body worn cameras and de escalation and implicit bias training for officers, have, quote, largely been ineffective, end quote. The top 5 states with the highest underreporting rates were Oklahoma, Wyoming, Alabama, Louisiana, and Nebraska, the researchers found. The states with the highest mortality rate of police violence were Oklahoma, Washington, D.C., Arizona, Alaska, Nevada, and Wyoming. Deaths due to police violence were significantly higher for men than women, with 30,600 deaths in men and 1,420 deaths in women from 1980 to 2019, according to researchers. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention National Centers for Health Statistics produces national health statistics based on the National Vital Statistics System. The CDC and the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services did not immediately respond to the request for comment. The researchers suggested that underreporting is related to, quote, several factors, end quote, and offers solutions for collecting more accurate data and ultimately eliminating police violence. Part of the issue may be clerical, the researchers said. The coroner or medical examiner may fail to indicate police involvement in a death certificate's cause of death section, or make errors in the process of assigning certain codes, the researchers said. Some coroners and medical examiners may also feel, quote, substantial conflicts of interest, end quote. Now that's interesting. Let's unpack that. That disincentivized them from indicating law enforcement indicating law enforcement involvement in a death, as many work for or are embedded within police departments and many feel political or occupational pressure to disguise police culpability. The researchers cited a 2011 survey of National Association of Medical Examiners members that found 22% of respondents reported having been pressured by an elected official or appointee to change cause or manner of death on a certificate. Hello. Improved training and clearer instructions on how to document police violence on death certificates could improve reporting, the researchers said. They also suggested forensic pathologists should work independently from law enforcement. Separation of powers, and should be awarded whistleblower protections under the law. Quote, currently the same government responsible for this violence is also responsible for reporting on it. I can't make this up, end quote. Sharara said, open quote, open source data is more reliable and a comprehensive resource to help inform policies that can prevent police violence and save lives, end quote. That's a very true statement. The researchers said America's history is systemic racism, and militarized police forces underlie the high rates of police violence in the U.S. Quote, to respond to this public health crisis, the USA must replace militarized policing with evidence-based support for communities, prioritize the safety of the public, and value Black lives, end quote, the researchers wrote. The researchers noted 19 nations, including Norway, the United Kingdom, do not arm police officers or only arm select officers. Quote, the difference these practices have on loss of life is staggering. No one died from police violence in Norway in 2019, and 3 people were recorded to have died in England and Wales from police violence between 2018 and 2019, end quote, researchers wrote. The only thing I have about that, family, is that it doesn't really, it's really apples and oranges when you're comparing the United States to countries like European countries like that, where firearms are illegal for private citizens to own. But I do think that we are intelligent enough to figure out how this problem set is affected or should be affected in our own community here in the United States, in our own communities here in the United States. But I'm going to move on. With that, I'm going to digress and go back into the article. The researchers said the study has multiple limitations. The study did not calculate non-fatal injuries attributed to police violence in U.S. territories, or residents who may have been harmed by military police in the U.S. or abroad. and every state was missing some ethnicity data. The researchers also noted their approach relied on data from death certificates, which only allow for a binary designation of sex. The approach, the researchers said, erases the existence of non-cisgender people. That's a new word for me. And mass and disproportionately high rates of police violence against transgender people, particularly black transgender people. I think that I think that is a misnomer, and I think just the simple fact that I think they're caught up in the black transgenders are caught up in the oppression of black people. So simply because they are popular, it's not. I don't think the police are targeting them because they're transgender. I think the police are targeting them because they're black, right? And so, and a lot of times, when you have these encounters, when I've had personal encounters with not just police officers but other people as well, it is more difficult. The implicit bias makes it difficult for them to see beyond your skin color, and you have to say things repeatedly to them. Sometimes, for the light bulb to actually come on, and they can actually begin to think and rationalize. Whereas some people don't. It never happens. That light bulb never comes on. They never begin to think and rationalize and actually hear what it is that you're saying. And so, with that, I'll digress. And so, the study was funded by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, the National Institute on Minority Health and Health Disparities, and the National Heart, Lung, and Blood Institute. Fatal Encounters, run by journalist and researcher D. Brian Burkhardt, quote, attempts to document all deaths that happen when police are present or that are caused by police, on duty, off duty, criminal, line of duty, local, federal, intentional, accidental, end quote. Going back to 2000, the database has three main methods of collecting information: paid researchers, public records requests, and verified crowdsourced data. Mapping police violence, which is another source that was mentioned in this article, is, quote, an independent research collaborative collecting comprehensive data on police killings nationwide, end quote. Since 2013, using official police use of force data collection programs combined with nationwide data from fatal encounters and original research on social media, obituaries, criminal records databases, police reports, and other sources. And then lastly, the Counted, which was another article or a source that was mentioned in this article, was a project by The Guardian, documenting the people killed by police and other law enforcement agencies in the U.S. in 2015 and 2016, using Guardian reporting and verified crowdsourced information. This article originally appeared, and that is the topic of today, family. So I just want to kind of bring that to light, and also remind you that this took place in a time when the George Floyd Act for police reform stalled in either the House or the Senate. Not sure, but it stalled in Congress. And everything else can get passed except things that affect our people. And what I mean by our people, and I'm not dissuading or saying anything else, because I love all people, and I also love my black people. Ones from the continent, those from the other diasporatic areas, Brazil and Central South America, Caribbean. But I think the reason I'm making this designation here in America is because it's a legal one. And that being said, the designation of there is no way to count our lineage, those of us who descend from slavery here in America. And it's that way on purpose, so that you can bring in others and mask the true report card, the true definition of who you are as a people, who you are as a nation, and where you stand morally. And so, and just like it says in the Holy Scriptures, what you do or how you treat the least of these, or what you've done for the least of these, you have also done for me. Let me rephrase: what you do to the least of these, you have also done to me. And so there is no one who is more least than the descendant of the American slave in America. You know, you can the Afghanis are even going to come here and get above my people in this country because they're going to be given a leg up to do so. They're going to be supported through infrastructure and low interest loans and grants to do so. They're going to be given a place to stay and you know, places to resettle and stipends and things of that sort to ensure their efficacy, which is the absolute opposite historically that my people have gotten. And and so that's really all I have to say about that. I don't want to make this go too long, you know. And I think that and a lot of folks will get tired of hearing that type of complaint from our people. But I want to encourage those who are saying a thing, calling a thing, because the first step to solving any problem is to identify the problem set. And if you don't identify the problem set, you can't formulate the problem. You can't formulate the solution to the problem. You know, so no, I'm not calling out white supremacy because I hate white people. No, I'm calling out white supremacy because it's the first step to coming up or delivering a solution to this problem that my people are facing. And and I work with a lot of white people who don't get that, and that's okay. You know, it's not. I don't think right now at this stage of the game it may be for them to get. My only thing is just don't stop me from trying to do something about it. That's it. That's all for now. Thank you much. Bye for now.